you imagine me walking beside Viktor Bout? Yes, you have read the title right. Today, I have met up with the Merchant of Death. Today, we are going to be visiting a place. And now, this title is definitely not clickbait because we're actually visiting the Merchant of Death. It is a person who the CIA and FBI and DEA was hunting down for a very long time. And if you knew the news, they changed him from Brittany Griner, I think, the basketball player that came to Russia with a vape pen that had marijuana in it. And you might be wondering, how the heck are we gonna find him, since it took so many years for DEA, CIA, and FBI to find him? Well, because today, apparently, he is going to have an art gallery opening. Could you imagine that? That guy is a painter, apparently, so we're gonna go there and check it out, and maybe try our best to get close to him and ask him a few questions. I would really advise you guys to press the like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because this type of video is very dangerous to do in Russia. And I'm gonna do it for you. And also, guys, I would like to say that we finally released our merch. The merch is out, so click the link in the description. It will say merch. Click that and check out what we got ready for you guys. Well, guys, my hair is up for some reason right now, but we're in Moscow right now, and we're about to go and check out the gallery of Viktor Bout. Could you imagine that? Absolutely flippin' crazy that that guy was wanted for such a long time, and we're gonna check it out, and he's gonna be over there. Hopefully nobody gives him a gift that is explosive. So here we are inside, and there's some sort of a party with a DJ looking like I don't know what's going on. There's this guy right here, the merchant himself. This is how it looks like. So there's gonna be some sort of a movie. Hopefully the man himself is gonna be here. You guys would be amazed, but this is what I think they got for sale here. So you got some books of the guy right here getting arrested, and a bunch of stickers, I think. Look at this. So you could see some drawings right here, and it's drawn by the man himself. This could be possibly the pilot. Oh no, that's the constructor Antonov. It's like the drawings he drew. The man himself. This is very, very interesting. Everybody is having a bit of drinks in the back, and the name of this thing is called Art as a Weapon. So this guy really likes that part, you know. He took what he's done and he's bringing it to art, I guess. I don't know, we'll see. So I came out of the gallery right now because it's way too loud. There was some toxic music playing around the place, but basically all of those drawings are the drawings of Viktor Bout that he drew while he was in prison in the United States. Now, I've heard there's a 50-50 chance that he's actually gonna come here, and if he is, we need to get close to him sometime. So let's take a look at all the drawings that he drew while he was in prison. So I didn't even know that this was all drawn in prison, because this is like 2016. So this is what he drew while he was in prison. You know what? His art skills aren't that bad. I gotta tell you that for a fact. And you could see you got yourself the big man Donald Trump right here with the Make America Great Again sign. And Viktor Bout drew that. I didn't even know he was a Trump supporter himself. The guy has arrived, so he's gonna come there and I'm gonna record him. So we're gonna walk through and see him. Close in. There's the man himself. Could you imagine me walking beside Viktor Bout?
Спасибо вам за то, что пришли. И самое главное, наверное, сказать, вы увидите все остальное в фильме. Конечно, мы сейчас все вместе в душах с теми, кто на линиях боевого соприкосновения на СВО защищает нас, защищает наше будущее, защищает нашу страну.
Анатольевича за мужество, за патриотизм, за ту русскую стойкость, которую он проявил. И это, безусловно, радует. Вообще могу сказать,
Well, guys, as you saw, CIA and DEA were trying to find him, but couldn't really talk to him. But I found him. I got this waiver. I got it signed by him. Could you imagine this, guys? So I'll tell you more about this guy during this video, because this was just chaos and mayhem going on right now. So a little history lesson on the Merchant of Death, Viktor Bout. He was born on 13th January 1967 in the Soviet Union, where Tajikistan is right now. So Viktor Bout served in the Soviet military, and he graduated from the Soviet Military Institute of Foreign Languages. So he knew a few languages. He knew Portuguese, English, Arabic, and Farsi. He was basically discharged in 1991 from the military, but he still had a lot of contacts inside the military. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was a lot of weapons, military vehicles, helicopters, and all that stuff quite abandoned. It was just sitting around the place. Nobody was touching it. It was just basically all over the place.
During the Cold War, the Red Army stationed nearly 1 million troops in Ukraine because of its strategic military importance. The day after the wall came down, the paychecks stopped coming. There's nothing better for an arms dealer than the combination of disgruntled soldiers and warehouses full of weapons. Those 45 years of mutual hatred between the East and the West had generated the highest weapons buildup in history. The Soviets had guns coming out of the demon hole, huge stockpiles, and now no enemy. The end of the Cold War was the beginning of the hottest time in arms dealing. The arms bazaar was open. Guided missiles, unguided missiles, mortars, mines, armored personnel carriers, whole tank divisions. I even landed a squadron of helicopter gunships.
So, knowing him as a businessman, he was like, you know what? Just came out of the Soviet Union, now we could do business. So he decided to pile up his contacts, create a aviation company. So he basically had a airline company called AirSes, where he actually had quite a big fleet of huge airplanes. He had one Antonov An-12, two Antonov An-24, one Antonov An-26, and one Antonov An-72. Could you imagine that? That's actually a very big fleet of airplanes. Basically, the guy sold a lot of weapons to Congo when there was the war there, to Afghanistan, to all the countries that had wars. And there's actually rumors that in Congo they didn't really have weapons. They were basically walking around with like axes and spears and stuff like that. So Bout saw an opportunity there, so he contacted and he brought a bunch of AKs, ground-to-air missiles and stuff like that. So basically, he created death around that place. It was just horrific, but yeah, that's what he did. So he was basically flying airplanes into different countries, supplying them with a bunch of weapons. Now, what's funny is that in 2007, the Los Angeles Times reported that the US government and its contractors paid Viktor Bout around $60 million to fly supplies into Iran in support of American forces. Could you imagine it? So that guy basically also supplied the US military with weapons in Iran. Could you imagine? And what's interesting is that after doing that, you know, and after working with the US, there was a situation. The US started a sting operation on Viktor Bout because they wanted to get him arrested, and they had to find a way of getting him arrested and bringing him out to the United States of America, so to extradite him out of somewhere. But the biggest problem was that the guy was actually in Russia all the time, and he never really liked to leave to do business. So he would have other people walking around the place and doing the stuff, so he tried to stay low. So basically there was a US DEA informer that claimed to him he was in the Colombian rebel group called FARC. So basically the CIA and DEA started talking to Bout and his advisors and whoever was working for him to make some sort of a deal. What they were trying to supposedly buy from him was surface-to-air missiles and armor-piercing rocket launchers that would be parachuted in different spots of Colombia so that the FARC group could collect them. But obviously it wasn't the FARC group, it was the DEA and CIA working on this sting, basically, this operation. So basically those imposters invited Bout to agree on a business meeting in Thailand, in Bangkok, and their deal was that they need to shake hands with Bout himself so that he would supply the weapons over to them. Basically, Viktor Bout said alright, they offered him a lot of money, so he had money in his head. He was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of money, so I'm gonna fly over to Bangkok. He flew over to Bangkok. The CIA and DEA already knew that he had arrived. They have set up a meeting for him in one of the big hotels. They had like a conference room there, so he sat back at the end of the table beside a window with a suitcase that he always had. It was not a suitcase, it was like this square bag. And they started asking him questions like, you know, what weapons, how are they gonna get delivered and stuff like that. This was in 2008. This wasn't even that far back. So in 2008, he was arrested by the Thai Royal Police in Bangkok, and he was in Thai prison for I think 2 years because the US tried to extradite him. The Russian government was somewhat trying to keep him at least in Thailand. And then after 2 years of the US battling with the documents and stuff like that, they were allowed to extradite Viktor Bout to the United States of America. This was in 2010, basically.
What can you say about the fairness of this hearing? You've been here a year and they still haven't decided anything. This seems like a farce.
That's it. That is what is going on. It's a theater where they have their own play and they're trying to play it further. So let them play. But if they're saying that the basement of American justice is the so-called amendments and liberties and rights, so where are these rights? Why deprive of them? What about presumption of innocence? Why during this 1 year they never presented any real evidence of my crime? Where committed crime? When? Enough. You keep me for 1 year? Enough. You have 1 year. If they stating I'm the biggest arms dealer, so where is the proof of this? Did you see anywhere any single fact of which date, what exactly, to whom I sold, and where is proof of that? Except the rumors.
Now, the Russian government said and claimed that this was absolutely illegal, that they extradited a Russian citizen out of Thailand into the United States, but there was not much they could do about it. Now, obviously, Russia called the Thai court system politically motivated, and Russia was basically saying that Bout was completely innocent and that he did not do anything wrong. Bout was convicted by a jury at a federal court in Manhattan in 2nd of November 2011. On 5th of April 2012, he was convicted to 25 years in a maximum security prison. That is basically the minimum sentence for conspiring to sell weapons to a US designated group. Basically, yeah, that's crazy. Imagine 25 years. Obviously, to that the Russian government said that this was a political order and stuff like that, but nothing could be changed with a bunch of lawyers working for him. Nothing helped at all. Until Brittany Griner was arrested in Russia for flying into Russia with a marijuana vape pen and sentenced to prison in Russia. So, after that, obviously the Russian government, in my opinion, did that so that they would have some sort of a leverage between some prisoner exchanges between the countries and stuff like that. So, in 2022, there was a confirmation that they're gonna exchange Brittany Griner for Viktor Bout, the Merchant of Death. So basically, after that, Viktor Bout returned to Russia. He gave a few interviews and he kind of disappeared. The CIA couldn't find him for so many years. The DAA couldn't find him for so many years. But guess who found him? Sanctioned Ivan himself. I got this little poster right here with saying in here, this is Viktor Bout's signature and my name in Russian, and I will read out what is said. For Ivan Golitsyn, with the best successes and happiness in life. Viktor Bout, 26/12/23. Could you imagine this, right? I mean, this is the person who the movie was made for. I'm not saying he's a good person or something like that. I'm just saying that it is absolutely crazy that I was able to meet such a person. This is like being inside of a flippin' Netflix show. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel. I would really truly appreciate it. And also, check out the merch that we have released. Finally, the link is going to be in the description, so hit the merch and check it out. Because Evelina has put a lot of effort into this merch, and it looks flippin' awesome. Thank you very much for watching this, and see you later, guys.